what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Now, as I've kind of talked about before, Wednesday videos, they're just going to be some fun, goofy stuff that I want to make. So today we're going to talk about making Naruto Uzumaki and Naruto 5e. Now, before we hop into it, per usual, I gotta ask, if you like the content, if you could please hit that sub button. Like I've said, we've been growing, we've been doing awesome. The support has been great. And per usual, if you got comments, please drop them down below. I'm here to answer questions, and let's get right into it. Now, before you people drop into the comment section, giving me the whole, the book already talks about it, I know. I get it. Trust me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through basically playing Naruto as a character as a whole, not just creating him from stage 1, but what to look for when leveling up, things to do, and stuff like that. And this isn't like a direct walkthrough guide of do exactly step A, step B, step C, and that kind of thing, but rather just kind of, hey, this is what you should focus on, and here's some room for you to make your own customizations towards Naruto, because frankly, Naruto has a ton of ways you can take him. So starting off for your level 1 character, we're going to do OG Naruto, right? From the very beginning where he started as. Now, for one, you're going to want to take the Uzumaki clan, and I know it's going to come as a surprise to some of y'all, but as a whole, it really encompasses what Naruto is in Uzumaki. Now, one thing I do want to mention after the whole clan thing is I'm sure some of y'all are asking or trying to figure out, and no, I'm not going to be talking about any form of class mod. So I'm leaving out a Jinchuriki, I'm leaving out Sage Mode, and I'm leaving out Light and Dark Release. Obviously, these are things that Naruto has in the show, and they even have books for them as different class mod options. One, I'm not going over them because you can't really put all of those class mods on one character, or they're just dumb. They're just stupid. They're too overpowered. It's just ridiculous. It turns them into a literal god. Now, if the campaign is okay with you being that, then sure, go for it. But for the most part, you're not gonna want to be doing that. Now anyway, getting back into the actual character customization, your class is going to be a Scout-nin. And that's because, honestly, Naruto's kind of a jack of all trades. I didn't really want to put him as ninjutsu specialist because while sure he uses a lot of jutsu, especially early on in the show, he is very much known for kind of sucking at jutsu and just not being very good at it overall. Scout-nin just felt the most appropriate because it's very overall, jack of all trades, master of none. Gives you a lot of flexibility too as you level up to customize and tailor Naruto and his playstyle to what you want him to do. Now the next part of character creation is going to be putting your ability scores in. Now for what the book tells you to do to create Naruto Uzumaki, I actually disagree a little bit with what they do if you're trying to really build him how he is and give up a little bit of that min-maxy part. Now when it comes to the ability scores, I recommend putting your 15 in Charisma. Now, to be clear, we're going to be using standard array. We're not doing any rolling nonsense garbage. I would put the 15 in Charisma. I mean, it's a whole meme of the show that he has talk no jutsu, right? Like, it is a whole aspect of his character that he talks his way out of situations, is really personable to people, and that's like his main trait throughout the whole original Naruto. So I would put the 15 in Charisma. Now, besides that, you can kind of start to debate where to put things. At this point, he's not really known for being super fast. He's not known for being super strong, nor is he known for being that wise. So I have all three of those as our lowest scores. I personally put 12 as Dex, 10 as Strength, 8 as Wisdom. I mean, I think 8 Wisdom is fair, right? Like, he's not super good at it. Now, leaving our other two, 14 and 13, for Con and Intelligence, you can definitely swap these between each other. It's not the most important thing in the world to have them one way or the other. But I put 14 in Constitution and 13 in Intelligence for the main reason of, one, he's an Uzumaki. He has a ton of chakra reserve, and not only that, but he's just strong. He can take a beating. And so having a higher Constitution than Intelligence just made sense to me. Now, as for the Intelligence being so high, I know there's probably going to be some people that disagree and maybe feel like Dex should be higher than Intelligence, but hear me out. He's really not all that dumb. When it comes to like battle smarts and just kind of having that moment, even throughout original Naruto, for the most part, he has moments where he kind of decides like, okay, I need to do this. Like, for example, this scene right here, taking the knife to the hand. Is it the wisest battle decision? No. But was it quick wits and smarts to go ahead and tank it to the hand so he could then use his Rasengan effectively? 100%. So that's why I choose to put his Intelligence at 13. Now, as for his equipment, Naruto's really not known for using very much equipment throughout pretty much the entire show, including Shippuden. He, at most, maybe uses some kunai. So that's what we went with. He gets a stack of kunai, which is, solid. Pretty much most ninja use those. And then a Fuma Shuriken. Mainly to give the character a little range, and in my head too, it is very resemblant of whenever he is fighting Zabuza for the first time and has his huge shuriken that Sasuke throws and he poofs out of. I think it's just very fitting for the theme, and again, he doesn't really use a melee weapon all that often, so it felt inappropriate to give him like a katana or something like that. Now, if you're following along with the book, it's going to tell you what jutsus to take, and I don't disagree with their jutsus, but in my head, if I'm walking you through it, I want to give you more flexibility. The only ones that you really need to have are a clone jutsu, obviously, substitution technique, it's very basic, and Naruto learns this pretty much immediately, a transformation, sexy jutsu, I mean, come on, you can't have him without sexy jutsu, and lastly, chakra reserves, which is an Uzumaki specific one, because he has stupid amounts of chakra. He is pretty much known for being one of the biggest chakra holders in all of the show, so it only makes sense. And with that, you have a few more spots that you can fill in with jutsu that you feel are appropriate. Obviously, we would love to give him Rasengan, but that comes later. We can't quite get that one yet. Now, the last thing I want to mention for walking through the basically OG Naruto story is once you hit level 3 with Scout-nin, you get to pick your type of scout. You get to pick your scout technique is what it's called. You're going to want to go with cloning technique. I mean, obviously, a clone scout, that is what Naruto is. He, throughout the whole show, pops his clones for every situation. It doesn't matter. So 100% take the scout clone technique, and you're good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and get into very early Shippuden when he first steps in. And in my head, this is going to start around level 5, especially because that's when you finally get access to Rasengan. That's when you can learn jutsu of that level, and you can slap it in there. And at this point, that's what you got, Rasengan. Besides that, level 5 doesn't have a whole lot to add to it, but that's the main feature that you're going to be gaining. Now, as we keep going and we finally hit level 9, in my head, we're getting towards mid-Shippuden, right? We're working our way through. For one, you're going to have had plenty of opportunities to up your ability scores. And for the ability scores, I would highly recommend keeping Charisma as your highest. Now, if you want to be a little more min-maxy, you could go for like Intelligence to help your clone jutsus and your Rasengan. But for the most part, if you're really trying to play as Naruto, your best bet's going to be going Charisma high. And past that, he starts to get pretty fast in Shippuden, especially towards the end of Shippuden when he starts to get his cloak buff and all that kind of stuff. So doesn't hurt to start working on your dex a little bit. It gets pretty widespread once you start to hit this point of mid-Shippuden, because that's when Naruto first starts unlocking a lot of his god potential of just being an absolute monster at everything he does. So you could pretty much make an argument for any of the ability scores. Now, with this, once you start hitting these higher levels, especially once you start to hit level 11, I'll mention why that's important in a second, you're going to unlock more clone arts, so kind of upgrading your clone jutsus and things like that. It's going to be up to you. There's a couple that lean more towards Naruto, but for the most part, the more you buff your clones, the more you're like Naruto. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the reason level 11 is important is, like we were talking about class mods earlier, I'm not going to dive in depth, but this would be around the time that you would start to get Sage Mode if that's something that your DM allows or that you decide to start using, that you try to go for. It recommends in the book that you are at minimum level 11 because the Sage Mode, for one, if you read how you get it, is pretty tough and you're going to want to be high level for it. But two, the buffs are really powerful. Sage Mode is extremely strong. And so if you get it too early, you're just going to kind of start stomping everything around your level, and it's really not going to be very fun just because it'll get boring fast. So try to wait till level 11 if Sage Mode as a class mod is something you're wanting to go after. Now, the last thing for this era, learn Shadow Clones. If you haven't already up to this point, get Shadow Clones. Why wouldn't you? If you don't have Shadow Clones and you're trying to roleplay Naruto, what are you doing? It's all he does. Every time. More clones. That is Naruto. Now, finally getting into the end of Shippuden, leading into Boruto era, it's gonna be around level 13. And again, at this point, our ability scores have only gone up. And at this point, it's pretty much whatever you want it to be. I'd say probably except Wisdom. Because even towards the end of Shippuden, and even in Boruto era, he has goofy moments. He's just known for not being the old wise type. That's just not how he works. But he does get really smart. He is really fast. He is really strong. He's all of these things. So honestly, you can really start to put your points into whatever you want to. If you want to be just an overall well-rounder and kind of put a few points into everything, awesome, go for it. Again, you're Naruto end of Shippuden era. You're gonna be good at pretty much everything. Now, the last actual addition to your character that I want to mention is going to be Light Release. And Light Release / Dark Release, if you don't know, again, if you haven't watched Naruto Shippuden, spoiler alert, just so you are aware, he gets Light Release, Sasuke gets Dark Release. That's what they use as a power in order to seal the big baddie, right? That is how it goes. Now, again, this is another class mod, and so it's something that you're going to have to talk to the DM about. It's not something you just start using magically. One thing to note, and again, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm really going to emphasize it. Don't use like 3 different class mods for a multitude of reasons. It will be, 1, just overly complicated. You're going to be bouncing between like 3 books. You're not going to be 100% sure what to do. And 2, the other main reason, you're going to be too strong. Like, just objectively speaking, if you have Light Release and Sage Mode and you're a Jinchuriki, it's gonna get boring really fast because you are going to wipe everything. You will have too many passive abilities. You will have too many abilities, period, to just use at your disposal. You want to be careful. And this is why when I talked about playing Naruto Uzumaki in the beginning, when it comes to the class mod and why I'm not getting super into it, is because Naruto has one too many class mods to really dig into. Again, talk to your DM about it, and I mean, hey, not that you can't have all 3 of those class mods, but understand if you do, you are going to be walking into an absolute just ridiculous fest of nonsense of being able to wipe just about anything you touch. So there it is. That's how I would personally build Naruto Uzumaki and slowly grow him as a character throughout my campaign and what I do. Again, I tried to not be super descriptive on some parts because I wanted to leave leeway for you to make your own decisions. I don't think it'd be very fun to sit there and roleplay as Naruto Uzumaki and you just keep jumping back to this video like hard copying everything that happens. It ruins some of the fun, some of the exploration. So I was trying to give you a base guideline as to maybe what to look for, what you can do, what you can try to focus on in order to really build this out and flesh it out. If you want to see other characters, please let me know down below in the comments. I really enjoyed making this. It was fun, and I would love to do one that the book doesn't make for me, so I get a little more of a challenge, and I can actually introduce you guys to something new. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed. Sub down below if you like the content, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.